So for this tutorial, we're going to be using a DK light worsted weight yarn. So that's a yarn weight of 3. And with that, I'm going to be using a 3mm crochet hook. But you can use any yarn and hook that you like that's suitable for the yarn you're using. And we're going to need probably a couple of colours at least. So we're going to have like a sort of donut colour. So I've chosen this sort of light brown colour. And with that, I'm going to do a topping colour. So for this topping, I've chosen a pink yarn, so sort of a nice pink icing. And then you're going to need some colours for your sprinkles. So I've chosen a sort of turquoise and a brighter pink. Okay, so I'm also going to need a pair of scissors and a yarn tapestry needle as well. So that's one with a big eye at the end, and some toy stuffing as well. And I do recommend using proper toy stuffing rather than yarn scraps because it'll be a little bit easier to work with. Okay, so let's begin, shall we? Okay, so we're going to start off with our base colour, so our donut colour. In this case, this sort of light brown colour. So the first thing we're going to do is a little slip knot. And then we're going to chain 11 to begin. So we're going to chain 11. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. Okay, so we chained 11 and we're going to do one single crochet in our second chain from our hook. So we're not going to count the loop on our hook. There's our first chain, there's our second chain, and in there we're going to do one single crochet. So this pattern's in US terminology, so in UK terminology that's going to be a double crochet. I'm going to do one single crochet in each chain across to the end. So we're going to the next chain and do a single crochet. Then in the next chain and just work one single crochet in each chain across to the end. Okay, so we're just coming up to the end and I've just done one single crochet in each chain across to the end. So we've got a stitch count of 10 now. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do a little chain 1 and turn your work, and starting in that first stitch we're going to do 2 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 and another one in the same stitch, 2 single crochet, and we're going to do 2 single crochet in each stitch across to the end. So we're going to double up our stitch count from 10 to 20. So go into the next stitch, do 2 single crochet, 1 and 2, and just work 2 single crochet in each stitch across to the end until you've got a stitch count of 20. Okay, so by the end of that round you should have a stitch count of 20, and then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1 and turn your work, and we're just going to do one single crochet in each stitch across, keeping a stitch count of 20. So starting in that first stitch there, we just do one single crochet, and we're going to do one single crochet in each stitch across to the end. And we're going to do that for 2 rows. Okay, so we're going to do that for 2 rows. So one single crochet, each stitch across, keeping a stitch count of 20, and we're going to do that for 2 rows. So when you get to the end, all we're going to do is a little chain 1 and turn and do another row of one single crochet in each stitch across, keeping a stitch count of 20. And we're still working with our basic donut colour at the moment. So just coming up to the end of the second row, and we'll do our last single crochet, and you should have something that looks like this. It's almost like a little rainbow. So if you did this in different colours you'd end up with a really cute little rainbow. So what we're going to do now though is we're going to get our next colour, and this is going to be your icing colour. So whether you want to do a chocolate icing or strawberry icing or vanilla icing, whatever you fancy. So I've chosen a pink icing, and we're just going to join that in a chain 1. So using the same weight yarn, we're just going to bring that through the loop on our hook in a little chain 1, And what we're going to do is we're going to turn our work again, and we're just going to do another row of 1 single crochet in each stitch across. So starting in that first stitch, we do 1 single crochet, and then we just do 1 single crochet in each stitch across again, keeping a stitch count of 20. So just do another row basically, but this time in your icing colour. So just coming up to the end of so this will be our third row of just 1 single crochet in each stitch across. And what we're going to do now is, hopefully looks like that, we're going to do a little chain 1 and turn. And what we're going to do now is we're going to single crochet 2 stitches together all the way across. So starting in this first stitch here, going to go into there. I'm just going to do a normal single crochet decrease. So we're not doing an invisible decrease. So we're just going to go into that first stitch, bring the yarn through, go straight into the next stitch, bring the yarn through, then yarn over, pull through all 3. So a nice normal single crochet 2 together decrease. And we're going to do that all the way across so we get our stitch count back down to 10. So we go into the next stitch, bring the yarn through, to the next stitch, bring the yarn through, yarn over, pull through all 3. So just repeat that all the way across until your stitch count has gone back down to 10. Okay, so just coming up to the last 2 single crochet and just double crochet those 2 together as well. And if you can't see this last stitch clearly, you may have just pulled your chain 1 a little bit too tight, but do make sure you got that little extra stitch on the end. And your stitch count should have gone down to back down to 10. And hopefully it looks something like this. And we're just going to do one more row. It's going to do a chain 1 and turn. I'm going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch across, keeping a stitch count of 10. So starting in that first stitch, we just do 1 single crochet. Just do 1 single crochet in each stitch across, keeping a stitch count of 10. And it doesn't matter which way your little donut pops in or out, so don't worry about that at the moment. Makes no difference. So just continue this all the way across. We're going to cut our yarn, but we're going to leave a little bit for sewing. So we're going to cut our pink yarn, our icing colour, and we're also going to cut our brown yarn, leaving a little bit of tail for sewing as well. And we're just going to pull that yarn through like so. And what we're going to do now is we're going to, it doesn't matter if you do it this way round or this way round, doesn't make any difference, but the first thing I'm actually going to do is tidy up the really short tail ends, so these 2. So pick an inside, so I'll make this my inside, and we're going to get a yarn needle, and I'm going to tidy up these tiny tail ends because they can be sort of get in the way when you're sewing. So I'm just going to very gently, very neatly just sew them slightly into the middle, away from the edge, without pulling too tightly. And then I'm going to cut that down, get rid of the excess, and I'm going to do the same for the other small tail end as well. There should be a little pink one somewhere. So this one's very small, so I'm going to tidy up this one as well, and then I shall come back and show you what to do next. Okay, so once you've tidied up the smaller ends, what we're going to do is, I seem to have an excessy bit there, but we can tidy that up, is we're going to fold it in half long ways. So choosing which way you want your donut to be makes no difference. Is we're going to match up these 10 stitches we've got either side. So it helps to start where your pink yarn is, and we're going to sew with the pink yarn because that was the last colour that we used. So we're going to get our yarn needle, and you can use that as a guide of where to start sewing. So I'm going to go through that last pink stitch and find the corresponding stitch the other side, and then just pull that, and we're going to sew all the way across, but just in the 10 stitches. You want to leave a hole at the end there, so you want to count 10 stitches as you go. So next one, So the next one, 2, move the other tail end out the way, then go back over to the pink side, then move over, 3, do the same again, and just do that all the way down for all 10 stitches. Next one, 4, 9, and one more at the very end, 10. Okay, so we've just done a little whip stitch all the way down, just in those 10 stitches in the middle. So you end up with this little sort of double rainbow with 2 holes either end, like that. And then we want to squish it down a bit. And what we're going to do is take our needle off, and we're going to stuff from either end up to the middle. It's just so we get a nice even bit of stuffing. So we're going to grab some stuffing, and using some blunt scissors, which really help with stuffing, is we're just going to push the stuffing in up to the middle, and I can get rid of that little bit that's sticking out, just up to the middle. Okay, then we're going to do the same for the other side as well. So get a little bit more stuffing. And do the same the other side. I'm just going to stuff from the other side up to the middle. Okay, so when it's firm but not overly stuffed, you don't want to see your stuffing showing through, we're going to sew these 2 ends together like so. And what you want to do is match up your colours. So we've got the brown. We can start with the brown first, and thread that onto a yarn needle. And you have to be careful how you sew this up now, because what we want to do is literally sew around in a circle, and this will make sure you get a nice circular shape for your donut. So you really want to sew around in a nice circle. So starting here, we're going to go over to the other side, bring these 2 ends together, then matching up your colours. You can go in one side over to the other side, and just do that all the way around, bit by bit, in a circle. Keeping the pink one out of the way. So a little bit more brown to do. And then when you get up to the pink, then do one more brown stitch. Okay, take off the brown and then thread on the pink, and we're going to sew up the other side along the top. So starting down on the inside. Just go from side to side, just pull that through, and then just continue across the top, sewing up the pink side. Careful not to grab the bottom brown bits as you go around, because you want to keep that shape. Okay. Just go over somewhere in the donut, and then trim this down, and then do the same for the other tail end. So I shall do that, and then I shall come back. And there we go. So I've finished sewing, hid my tail ends, and we're just making sure we can sort of just sort out the stuffing a little bit, and there is our cute little donut. And all that's left to do now is to add some sprinkles. So get some alternate colours, some bright colours maybe. We're just going to take a short length of maybe just the pink. Might add a little bit of blue as well. So a little length of yarn. Thread that on. And what I like to do is, at the other end, is just to do a little knot as close to the end as possible before we start sewing. So I just work a tiny little knot right at the end, and then we're going to sew up from the side up to where our icing is, and that should pop on the inside, and then we can hide that afterwards. And then just do lots of little sort of dashes and knots or whatever you fancy for sprinkles around your donut, like this. Do different shapes, so I can do them horizontal, vertical, and I just work around the donut. My camera wants to stay in focus. I just work around the donut, various locations, just creating these little sprinkle dashes. And there we go. So I added some blue sprinkles as well as the pink sprinkles, and that is the end of our cute little mini donuts. And this one here, obviously I did different sprinkle colours here, a little purple one, and I also did icing in brown to make it look like chocolate icing, and did white sprinkles. So you can really experiment and play with lots of different coloured yarns to create different flavours. But I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. Hope you managed to follow along. These will make really cute earrings or Christmas decorations, or just having fun play for children. Is entirely up to you what you want to use them for. But I'll see you soon for some more crochet fun. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.